particularly in a lower income household where the same facilities are being given to the boy child.
You're right, Arjita. There is a female bias in our society, okay, and it's not restricted to India. It is worldwide. Apart from COVID, of course, the other thing that's happened is the government push for corporate CSR. Scholarships are now flooded with tons of money.
So, ma'am, I would like to shift gear a bit here and talk about a topic. If we don't address that, I think the scholarship discussion will not be complete. Now, let's address the very crucial aspect of female representation, particularly in professional courses and STEM. As you have also mentioned that a girl child is not getting the facilities, particularly in a lower income household where the same facilities are being given to the boy child. In the recent studies also we have seen that in spite of having so many fee waivers or reservations, still women are less represented when it comes to professional courses, particularly STEM education. So, ma'am, in your opinion, what are the challenges which are not allowing women to enter as well as excel in STEM field? And what educational institutions or even NGO like us can do to overcome this challenge?
You're right, Arjita. There is a female bias in our society, okay, and it's not restricted to India. It is worldwide, right? Now, like I said earlier, the girl child, unfortunately, in financially constrained or financially challenged households, the girl child starts facing this bias right from the time of she's a kid. Whether it is food, whether it is medicines, or it is education, her sibling, a boy child, always gets preference.
Absolutely.
Like I said, at the first hint of financial crisis, the girl child falls off the school segment, right? And the moment she drops off, she does not migrate to the workforce. Therefore, her contribution really becomes very limited. Now, this is not really restricted to financially challenged households or financially underserved community or whatever. Let me just divert a bit and give you an example. Do you remember that ad of SBI loans where a model comes and says, batting for Nari Shakti?
Yes, yes.
Right?
That's
Who's
a
she?
powerful
Who is
ad.
she?
A common girl.
No, she's not. Okay? In fact, when the model first came, when this ad was first released, this girl, people didn't know who she was. So SBI then put out this thing saying Smriti Mandana, woman cricketer. Right? Now, the reason I'm bringing this out is basically in India, cricket is a religion, it's not a sport. Right?
Yes.
India Park match, everything comes to a standstill. India Australia World Cup, your 1.4, majority of your 1.4 billion people were watching
Right.
cricket. And in that scenario, we don't even know who the top woman cricketer is. Right? Whereas if it was a male cricketer who was not 1, 2, 3, but even 9 and 10, we would still recognize him.
Yes.
Right? So that's how bias really is towards women. And she's a great achiever, okay, mind you. People loved her ad. Okay. Now, what do you do in all these cases? Now, you can address all this by targeting women specifically. Right? Like the Kotak Kanya, for example, which is targeting a girl child, giving scholarships so that they come up the ranks. Right? Apart from everything that corporates do in terms of workplace, you have a creche which is made mandatory now. You have maternity leave which is 6 months, etc. Apart from all that, one other very, very powerful thing is microfinance. Microfinance addresses women more than they target men. Simply because women make far better borrowers or far more responsible borrowers as compared to men.
Okay.
Right? And the social impact of microfinance is substantially high. An educated woman at home, which means automatically better education for the children, better food for the children, better health for the children. Right? So it automatically even translates to a healthier population.
Right.
And of course, there are many more benefits that come by supporting women. But let me not, go on saying we in India are bad or whatever. We are very good. India has had women prime ministers, has had women presidents as well. Even today, our president is a lady. Now, the world's most advanced nation, the most liberal nation, US, is still to have a woman president, after 200 years plus of presidential elections. So I think we're better off. Life's not bad.
Right.
So we're okay.
What will be your suggestions so that we can invite more and more students, more and more females in the sphere of STEM education?
No, again, it's the same thing. Whether it is STEM or whether it is law or any professional course, the challenges that the girl child faces is the same.
Right.
Right? It's barrier of entry, which is this. Once she's crossed her 10th, moves on to 11th and 12th, space is completely free. You can choose STEM, you can choose law, you can choose design, and all are very well-paying fields today.
Even IIT, which is one of the reputed STEM institution, there definitely the representation is less compared to men. There is no doubt about it. But if I talk about improvement, if I talk about progress, then definitely there also we have make a positive change.
Sure.
In terms of from 16% enrollment of female in 2018, now the enrollment ratio is close to 19-20%,
Sure.
which speaks for itself. So definitely we have taken few steps,
Correct.
but it's a long way to go.
Absolutely. Agree with you.
Ma'am, in the light of whatever we have discussed so far, where do you think that technology can be leveraged to maximize impact as well as reach?
See, technology has really changed our life. Can you even think of life without UPI today?
No.
Right? 10 years ago, this was not possible.
Yes.
Correct? I think the biggest catalyst in all this has been COVID. COVID has really changed technology and the speed at which it has changed. Right? Similarly, with scholarships as well, there is a lot happening on the technological platforms. Two things. One is your platforms like your Buddy for Study, which KK uses.
Yes.
Right? As well as other platforms really have allowed access to a lot of students to access these platforms for availing scholarships. Right? Apart from COVID, of course, the other thing that's happened is the government push for corporate CSR. Scholarships are now flooded with tons of money, right? So therefore, technology can't be far behind, correct? Like I said, the student has access to various donors. The donor also has access to pan-India students, right? Because of this spread of technology, you can have a student from as far as Assam or Kanyakumari or even Jammu Kashmir who can access your platform and really avail of the scholarship. Now that's what technology has done. Now that's as far as this scholarship part is concerned. Now apart from that, technology has also played a big role in crowdfunding. Crowdfunding today is big business.
Yes.
Right? Again, during COVID, they did a fantastic job. Helping patients, helping families, etc. They did a fantastic job.
Yes.
I'm not such a big fan of crowdfunding, especially when it comes to scholarships or projects which need have hard timelines or hard amounts of money involved.
Okay.
For example, a cancer patient needs, let's say, a lymph node transplant or any kind of a surgery. You can't wait for the crowdfunding platform to kind
of delays the process, the timeline.
Right. Similarly, an IIT student getting admission, the college is not going to wait for the crowdfunding platform to provide.
Yes.
But it provides a great platform for, let's say, something like a cyclone relief, a flood relief, where timelines are not hard.
Yeah.
Right? There it provides a real great platform. Again, from a donor point of view, it's made a big difference. Right? Today, small donors can contribute to projects that they like. I can donate as little as 1,000 rupees without going back to the NGO and asking, whom should I fund? Recently, one of my friends, she lost her mother.
Okay.
And mother was very particular that you do not spend on all the last rites, etc. So what she did is went on to the crowdfunding platform and funded 10 NGOs for projects she liked.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's how technology has really changed a lot, even in the scholarship space or even in the donation space.
True.
That's what it is.
Actually, it's fascinating to see how these scholarship management platforms as well as AI analytics driven data all are coming together to make scholarship more accessible to the students. But ma'am, as we just spoke in our first segment, that still
A lot to be done.
yeah, a lot to be done, and I hope that we leverage technology as much as
100%.
Yeah,
Technological
yeah.
advances are so fast. I won't be surprised, maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, the student seeking scholarship is able to upload everything upfront. The moment his results are declared, it comes and sits into your platform saying this is the score,
Right.
right? So, and you have her parents, her or his parents, the student's Aadhaar, and other documents which gives you a kind of background he or she is coming from.
Right.
And then if you have this link of educational institutions also being linked
Also,
onto your
yeah,
platform,
yeah.
it's a complete seamless transfer. And I'm sure that's not going to take very long.
Absolutely. And
So-
I just hope that we reach that stage as soon as possible.
Correct. I agree.
There can be nothing better than this.
True.
Yeah.
It will really speed up. And it will
Yes,
also
yes.
stop double funding. It will also stop a lot of unfair practices which are happening today.
True, ma'am, true. Now, coming to a question which is actually very close to my heart about how can we encourage, motivate our alumni, our scholars to give back? How can we make this scholarship in India a national movement where we encourage, where we ensure that every scholars is supporting the new scholars, maybe with mentoring to begin with, and maybe funding them once they stabilize in their job. So, what is your thought on this? Do you think it is even possible? And if yes, if you can share your few examples and ideas, how can we achieve that?
Great idea, Arjita, but extremely difficult to implement. Basically, the child also is under a lot of pressure, a lot of timelines, hard timelines for submitting projects, exams, whatever you call it. You may have funded her scholarship, but she is also subject to a very, very rigorous routine. Now, in that, it becomes very difficult for her or him to actually support or give back, right? One of the ways which you could do it probably is creating more accessible forms and styles. For example, if you ask an IIT student to give a lecture to students who need them, right? You can create an online platform through which she delivers at the times which are suitable for her.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And if you make that access much easier, probably more and more students will come online.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Now, second is students who actually want to go and pursue post graduation or even in the graduate space. There's a lot of emphasis on social work when it comes to their CVs, right? A good CV with a lot of social work is a good biodata for an institution.
Yes.
Now you can probably encourage this kind of, giving back mechanism and with very good certified professors or whatever to add more authenticity to this giving back or social or whatever you want to call it, this kind of a platform. So that really helps, right?
Yeah.
The third is tomorrow Danutsav starts or the joy of giving week, 2nd
Yeah,
October
yeah.
it starts. If you can create these small windows where it's more a celebration of giving back,
Yes.
okay, maybe Christmas vacation, Diwali vacation, whatever you have when students are free, that helps, right? Students are actually more than willing to give, but time constraint, work constraint,
Also, we have
etc.
to
are not
create
able
the
to.
avenues. We have to create the avenues. Yeah.
So that helps.
And thank you for the suggestions. These are some absolutely brilliant ideas that we can implement. At KEF also, we strongly believe that we should make our scholars, our alumni more responsible about giving back. And as you are aware that we have 1,000+ scholars, we have started taking baby steps where the students are mentoring, the students are guiding them. But definitely, we can incorporate, and the other viewers who are watching this podcast, they can also incorporate and reach for better impact, definitely. Now, on a related note, you must have seen so many scholars' journeys closely who have made significant contribution in their field, in their community. Do you want to share a compelling stories with us today and with our students who are watching the podcast?
Over my journey in KEF, I've really come across a lot of amazing students who kind of achieved almost the unbelievable. Right?
Yeah.
But since you asked me this question on gender bias or girl discrimination, let me tell you the story about this student who actually faced a lot of discrimination, fought her way through, and today is a doctor, is a pride of her community, is an icon in her community.
Okay.
Brother pursued engineering, and the girl wanted to pursue medicine.
Okay.
Right? Father was a construction worker, so not a great, somebody who could support or whatever. Then what happened was at that point in time, we used to have this rule of getting 70% failing, which the scholarship stops. Right? And you continue it only when the child gets 70% back.
Right.
Now the brother did not get her 70%.
Okay.
So the scholarship was stopped. The girl, on the other hand, qualified through all her exams and got admission into for her MBBS course. Now the parents actually came back and said, for you all it is money. So why don't you give the brother? He will pursue his engineering and get done. Okay. The girl is going to get engaged and get married just now. She was due to be engaged. Okay. Achha. So she's going to get married. So where is she going to study? Of course, we did not do that. For us, it was not something which was very fungible.
Yeah.
We funded the girl, stopped the boy's funding, but of course, he got his 70% back and we funded him. This girl got admission into an MBBS. Fortunately, she got admission into to outside Bombay. She got into Maharashtra, but outside Bombay. Now, on hindsight, that was very good because she cut off all the noise, the negative noise from her parents. Right? That, your brother missed the scholarship, you got the scholarship, you're going to be engaged, you're going to be married. So she automatically cut off all that noise. She cleared her MBBS, okay, and then gave her PG for NEET for the postgraduate course. Today she is doing her pediatrics course, which I am told is one of the most sought after courses in medicine and one of the best colleges in Bombay.
Okay.
Now she is an icon in her community. She's probably the only doctor there. So that's been her journey.
I think this is a best example where she has fought all the barriers. And now she is creating an example, setting an example to other girls in the community that yes, if she can, then others also can. So ma'am, lastly, what would be your message to all our future scholarship aspirants who are watching our podcast today?
My message or my advice would really be, it's not even an advice, it's what I can say, is basically you've got this golden opportunity. Some messenger or some good angel or whatever has come and waved that magic wand on your head, provided you the scholarship when you needed it the most. So go out there, conquer your dreams. But on the journey, while conquering your dreams, do not forget your parents back home. They are the reason you're here, right? And also, of course, others who've helped you on your journey.
Absolutely.
Right? I would also suggest really one more thing, follow the 1+1 rule. There was a good angel who come and waved the magic wand on your head. Do that to somebody back, either at your village, at your school, your own family. So come and support one more child. Wave that magic wand on somebody else's head. So and help support a child.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us, for sharing your insights. It's always a privilege to listen to you and learn from you.
Thank you so much, Arjita. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you so much, viewers, for watching us today. Please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, which is Kotak Education Foundation.